motive for murder.
Yeah.
You want to kill me? She was murdered. You want to kill me?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Longer and Harder, the show on the internet where we take a subject and we go deeper. How are you all doing today? I hope you're. I know there's some shit going on. I don't know what's going on. Any of it. I apologize if there's lag or whatnot. Who says it's fine? So it must be fine, right? I'm sure that. Um, dropping frames, maybe I'm dropping frames. It might be a Google thing. Who knows? Anymore. Everything's a mess. Everything is just giant. That's the world we live in. So hello, hello. I hope you all are having yourselves a wonderful Sunday. Um, it's a beautiful day here out in middle of nowhere, Nebraska, called Omaha. So good times. Sorry I was not here last week. There was something going on with my hard drive last weekend, and I couldn't get my computer to boot. It's fixed now, obviously, since we're here, so everything's back to normal. I don't know what happened to my hard drive. It was a software thing from what I could tell, but it took a little bit of it took me having to take it to someone who knows this kind of thing better than I do to actually get it fixed because I couldn't. So I don't know. It's fixed now. And Hobbs is here to join us. Hopefully, we'll get a little treat of Hobbs today. It's gonna be great. Um, I have PC issues as well. Probably broken supply. Oh, that sucks. Yeah. So I mean, it's fixed. I don't know. Everything's okay. Hobbs is trying to find a place to sit. Let's see if we can make him a place here. Is being extremely needy. Come on, buddy. Bastard. Are. We'll try to get him. Try to get him involved here soon. Um, let's see what else we got for you besides Oakham housekeeping. There isn't much housekeeping, I don't think. If you didn't watch it, you should if you enjoy this kind of thing. Maybe not watch it, but listen to it because watching it is less exciting. I did do a little bit of a D&D stream. It was mostly for fun, so wanted to Micro reminded me that I had said I was going to do a D&D stream. I think that was why it came up. I wasn't really planning on it, but Micro reminded me that I had said I was going to stream, and I was like, okay, well, I said I was going to do it, so and I did. It was fun. It was if you want to watch me DM things, or listen to me DM things. It's a really great group. We'll be finishing up this one shot next Friday on July 3rd, at noon Central Time. So that is I don't know, like now time wise, but in Friday time, whatever that means, right? So you can you can watch that. What time was it? It was noon yesterday, so this time, but 24 hours, literally 24 hours. So it was fun. Go listen. It should be up on the channel. I'm working on the thumbnail so that it stands out a little bit more. But it was about 2 hours and 45 minutes. We didn't finish the one shot. We left on a bit of a cliffhanger, which I won't ruin if you want to go watch it. But we did leave on a bit of a cliffhanger, so definitely go check it out because the team is kind of screwed. The players are kind of screwed. They kind of screwed themselves over, so they're kind of on their own at this point. But it was fun. Microbloganism was there, so it was awkward pasta and jelly. So and Alhana, who is also in the chat. So all four of these wonderful people were there, along with an IRL friend of mine from college and Christy Winters. So those were all four players. It was what's it called, Into the Forest, Into the Heart of the Forest, or In the Heart of the Forest, something like that. It's some one shot that I bought off of DM's Guild. A lot of fun. I've had a blast. They were great players. So we're gonna finish it in a few days. So show up on Friday. With a mighty leap, they were free. Are we talking about D&D yesterday? We are talking about D&D. There was definitely a forest. There was definitely a forest. So fun times, good times. That's about all I got for housekeeping. I don't wanna say that I do because I don't necessarily. I have had somebody contact me about working on a video with them, and I might, but that's about it. That's about all I can do. I can tell you about that because I don't have any details. I might in the future. To do. I was in the chat for about 30 minutes, but only saw my message. Yeah, chat wasn't very. I'm not gonna read the chat, because I can barely, as it is, I can barely focus on DMing, let alone actually running the stream. Let alone keeping my players from doing whatever it is they're gonna do. That all the doing everything else is just too much. So I didn't keep an eye on the chat. But yeah, if you want to show, if you want, I would highly recommend listening to it. I listen to I've been listening to at work, what's it called, Matt Coble does MCDM Productions, with Matt Coble. They do The Chain. It's like from a year ago, and I've been listening to it I've been listening to it on at work, and all I do is just listen to it because watching it is not necessarily always a fun thing. It's hard to like show interesting things in D&D because it's all like it's all in your head anyway. So I would strongly suggest you just listen to it rather than do the other thing that then watch it. But if you want to watch it, it's definitely that. I never keep players from doing the things. I try not to, but sometimes they need. So one of the things that I do kind of railroad my players a little bit, and it's only because um when I do like these one shots that like there's a limited amount of resources that I've created, and I can't have them wander off because there's a like if they wander off, they literally wander off into a void because nothing else exists outside of this one. So I try to corral them a little bit. But I do let them do whatever. Micro is right. He did get to taste the floor. It's a very clever way to use. He's a gelatinous cube. It's a very clever way. I think something was wrong with the chat. Yes and no is the only one there, apart from the players in the. I don't know. Maybe. There's nothing but void outside of this, so I do corral them. But yes, they did get to do some fun things. And Fog. I think Christy Winters got to shoot. She throws pies around, so she got to shoot one of her pies, and it was fantastic. It was great. Like I have fun. I do try to let players do whatever the hell they want. Because it's way more entertaining. One, it's more entertaining creatively for me to try to figure out a mechanical way to allow them to do whatever crazy ass shit they just decided to do. And two, I think players have. I like to give players the ability to be creative with their skills. So I do like to be like, hey, here's your problem. Here are your skills. Figure out how to use your skills to do the thing, rather than try to be like, this is the one solution to this problem. It's like, whatever. So like, yes, like Chrissy Winters, did shoot a pie that exploded everywhere. That was fun. Micro tasted the floor, and he was able to taste the floor, so that was a thing. Who was the smooth I think that was Ohana. I think Ohana kind of became the face because I think she has the highest charisma. I think that's who it was. Elsha something. Got the full name, but Elsha something. I think she was the face because she's super charismatic and rolled really high like 3 times in a row. So kind of dug into the mystery that I had created way too quickly, which is fine, but it was great. Charisma 20, yes. So that is Alhana is the face of the party. Which is good. Someone's got to be the face. Someone's always going to be the face. All right. So yeah, we can keep talking about this, but let's move on. Obviously, there's still no beer of the week. Because quarantine is still a thing. So I haven't been to stores yet. I did kind of break quarantine or social distancing practices a couple of times last week. Slightly regret one of them for drinking reasons. The other one I less regret. I did go to my local one of the bars across the street from the clinic that I work at. I did go there to vent with one of my coworkers. And we had a table outside, like way in the back, away from everybody. So I felt okay about it. I still didn't feel okay about people cooking my food and delivering my food without wearing masks. That was less than ideal, and I didn't particularly like that. But and then I went out last Sunday since I didn't do the show. I went back there again with my wife, and we sat out in the sun for like 8 hours and nearly died. But besides that, I still haven't really been grocery shopping. So I got myself a Lucky Bucket belly flop, which is fantastic for the drink it. So that was great. I just realized I could have done extra damage against the waves, but just moving into them. Yeah. Well, they had if they end their turn in you, they would have taken some damage, but I don't know how often they How was being inside of you work for flanking, Mike? Oh, that's a good question. I was one of the 2 to 3 employees at the restaurant wearing a mask. It is kind of crazy that how little mask wearing is. I just bought like 5 more masks because my clinic got my so we have a mask shortage or getting close to mask shortage, and I don't know if it's in Omaha or Nebraska as a whole, but masks are unsurprisingly becoming difficult to find again, or at least like the disposable medical one, or they're a little bit hard to find. And so we were told that we weren't going to receive masks at the beginning of the day. We usually get like a mask, so if we don't have our own, which most of us do. But if you walk into the clinic, one, you always need a mask in the clinic, pretty much. You can't just walk around. We were told we weren't gonna get one anymore at the beginning, and how to use these cloth ones that they gave to us, or we had to use our own or something like that, which is I have all sorts of issues with that because they should be providing PPE for us at a fucking hospital. But that's besides the point. And so there's a lot of mask wearing that happens. Like I wear a mask a couple, at least 2 or 3 hours at a time. I'm lucky I have an office, so I can to like hide in my office and take off my mask. But a lot of us just wear a mask like a lot of the time. And the couple of times that I've been out, so because I have been kind of going out a little bit more to like not like too much, but I've been going like grocery shopping. I had to buy a mallet to take my desk apart. And so I've been going to stores a little bit more. Almost every time that I go into a store, it's like me and my wife are, which is terrifying like no other. I hate it so much, and that's really been the theme. Is a lot of every time that I've really gone out shopping, I'm usually the only. They just they cut off your oxygen. They cut off your oxygen. Whatever the fuck, however the fuck cloth can do that is rather impressive. I guess cloth is like plastic. It's like putting a plastic back. Um. So. So yeah. So that's COVID stuff. Oxygen is over. That's COVID stuff for us today. Okay. Video menu for today. Let me tell you, video menu. Let me keep talking about D&D and COVID. 70-Year-Old Transitions by Blair White. Immigration by ARTE. SJWs versus Sonic by Geekdom 101. Interview with Who by Random Cam. Shadows by Mr. Thrive and Survive. Autism Results. I should put like Autism Cure or something like that by Gary Craig. Gary Craig, by the way, I think we that was the website that we looked at. I looked at with Geo and Microbloganism like a couple of weeks ago. And then C Curve Level by the ever lovely Morga. So if you would like to vote for any of the things that you see there, all you got to do is give yourself an upside down eye, vote, and then the number you'd like to vote for. And hopefully Cloudbot is. Let's see if we can get Cloudbot going. So that look, Cloudbot's a thing. I didn't realize he's all Pride Monthy. That's great. So happy Pride Month, everyone. I know it's like 2 days left in Pride Month, but happy Pride Month, everyone. You I am a little sad that we don't get to do the other like uh Pride Month stuff. So a little sad we can't. But you know, whatever, it happens. All right, yeah. So if you'd like to vote, upside down, I vote, and then you get to pick the things. Well, there's all sorts of fun things. Oh, hey, you're now being under a blanket kills you. Oh yeah, being under a blanket kills you. Imagine all those kids who make like forts out of blankets and it's really odd. I tweeted about this because I find it extremely odd that like masks aren't new. Like we don't worn like well, not maybe not all of us, but a lot of us have worn masks for other things, not just disease stuff. Like I've had to wear a mask and like wood chops and things like that. Like you wear a mask. I wear a mask when I have to trees and shit because a lot of little things flying around. So it's not like blanket fort, more like blanket death chamber. Um, like they're not new. Like people have been wearing masks for forever because they help keep things out of your face, mouth. But all of a sudden they're actually dangerous, even though they haven't been dangerous for. I'd have to look into how long we've been wearing masks, but like for how long we've been wearing masks, somehow they haven't been dangerous for the last whatever 100 years, but all of a sudden they are dangerous. It's really odd. Um, that people kind of think that. There's also the whole like somehow these masks both have the property of being so crappy at keeping stuff out that they can't keep out COVID. Like they're so bad that they can't keep out COVID or keep in COVID, I guess. They're so bad that they can't do that, but they're so good that they keep out oxygen. It's this weird like double-edged sword of mask. So that's fun. All right. Hans, I think, has settled down. I think our way to get you on camera. Pick like the worst spot this credit card. Oh, it's attached back there. Oh, Bob's in the picture. Sorry, y'all. I tried. You're with my he's like right underneath the camera, and I can't be able to turn it enough downward. Cables and cable management. Masks are a liberal plot. First you wear the mask, then profit. Yes, God changed the rules of physics to make COVID more effective. It is impressively effective disease. And also an incredibly ineffective disease. I did see somewhere, and I'm fairly sure this is not fake news. That the age range, so like the age range of who was being affected by COVID for a while was like on the older spectrum. On the old, like the older people were the ones who were mostly getting it and mostly like affected by it. But that's shifted to the lower ranges, so now it's in like the 26 to 30 something range, which is terrifying because now it means that it's killing young people, not just old people. Not that we shouldn't, not that we need to sacrifice old people, but it's just it's crazy how that shift has happened, mostly because we're fuck old people. Have you seen the insane video from hearings in Florida? There's so many. I heard so many videos. I saw the one. I think it was in California, where the lady said she was opposed to mandated masks because she's not into bondage. That was one that I remember. They've been so many. Honestly, so much crazy shit has been said about COVID that I lose track of what state it's from. Masks are bondage. They are bondage. Yes. So that was her thing. There's also the lady who says like I saw this on Twitter, is like I don't wear a mask for the same reason I don't wear underwear. Like things need to breathe. I mean, okay. Oh. The older meant to die R&D gets lonely up there. That's gotta be it. Alright, looks like you can no longer vote, so let's look at the results of our poll here. I do believe that call it one. Number 6, I think, won. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great because I love talking about autism, the cures for autism. It's one of my favorite topics. No, one of my favorite topics, honestly. Number 6 won with 66% of votes. So yes, we are going to talk a little bit about autism, which is a great. It's a topic that I enjoy talking about, not because mostly because I work at a clinic for autism spectrum disorder, so it gets me, whatchamacallit, it does, I'm not an expert in it by any stretch of the imagination, but I do know a little bit more than the average bear about autism spectrum disorder because I work in a field, so it gives me a thing to gives me some amount of that's really oh well so I let's see, I just realized that because I arranged things for whatchamacallit, for the D&D game, that everything's it's not too much of a giant, a little bit of a, let's fix it just so this will be a fun one. Like I said, this is one of the ones that we looked at the website for this on taking a look at. So if you haven't gone to check out taking a look at, you should go check out taking the wonderful little show that I do, microblogging, as Streber and most likely Minor and occasional other guests. It's a lot of fun. So you should definitely go check it out and go take a look at it. So we did check out their website, which is why I found out while looking at the website that they have a YouTube channel, which is comedy gold. comedy gold all around. So that's what we'll get to. That's what we'll get to check out today. The whole name of the video is Impressive Autism Results. New Think Episode 2 of Autism. This is by Gary Craig's New Think. He does have a free book at emofree.com. He actually does have a free book. He's got the Unseen Therapist. It's an interesting website. It's definitely an interesting website. Definitely worth you all checking out. Go check out his website. It's hilarious. And go check out the channel or go check out the video where Micro and I talk about it. All right, I'm debating if I am. What my face is. I feel better about it. The New Think doesn't like something from 1984 at all. Okay, so this is going to talk about from the little bit I watched about this video. This is going to talk a little bit about whatchamacallit, the cures for autism. So if that kind of stuff, if you don't like that kind of stuff, fair warning. What should we call this episode now? That we pick harder and harder. What should we call it? What was? I feel like it needs to be named something. Impressive Autism Result. We're just gonna go with curing autism with what was it called? What is your thing called, Craig? EFT, with EFT. That's what we'll name. Curing autism with EFT. I don't know if he does that, but we'll go with it. Okay, so starting off with the video, here is what Craig has to say. Hopefully the sound isn't.
So the question before me has to do with autism. And I'm asked by a mother, my child has autism. Can the unseen therapist really help here? Can you really do that? Isn't that impossible to cure, alleviate, or whatever?
I mean, yeah. Oh, God. Did we ever find out what the unseen therapist is? It's like some sort of, if I remember right, it's something in the range of like, spirit science-y, like, we can't be like, we just gotta align our shit together and then your body heals itself, if I remember right. Acupressure, that's what it was. Acupressure. Now yeah, sorry about the earbuds. Very loud compared to you. Hopefully I turned it down a little bit. Okay. So, yeah, it's some sort of acupressure thing. It's all, we did find out, which was a lot of fun. We did find out that they did have a peer-reviewed paper that was actually published, and not too long ago, if I remember right. And then we went and did some digging around. It was actually peer-reviewed and published. But then we got to find sort of the articles that kind of yelled at it. Were like, no, you're wrong. You got to you jumped to conclusions and stuff. So it was an interesting read. And really fun to actually go through peer-reviewed research and watch scientists kind of like beat, getting a word fisticuffs over this stuff, because it's always fun. But yeah, so that's his solution, is this weird acupressure stuff. Yeah, so just basic information about autism. No, there is no cure for autism. There's also no single cause for autism. It's more than likely a complex mixture of different causes, probably genetic and probably potentially also some nature-y thing, not nurture-y thing. But there's definitely not a like one cause for autism. So just off the gate, we don't really know. And then there's also no cure for autism. Whether there should be a cure for autism or not gets into some, best word of it, some not it's a bit of a minefield to talk about whether we should have a cure for autism or not. Because on the one hand, there's nothing really like, I know that it's called autism spectrum disorders. A lot of language in science is several years older than it needs to be. Um, and so like it's called a disorder, but how much of it, if it is a disorder, is it's not really. It's just a different way of thinking. And so like a lot of people do see it like it's a disorder, so it needs to be fixed, kind of like other disorders, whether it needs to be fixed or not. But it's really like it's just a different way of your brain being wiring, which gets to this issue of like if you do cure it, what do you have left of the individual? Because it's like it is who like it's part of how you think. And so it's like rewiring someone's like rewiring someone's brain to think differently, and then how much of that person is still left? Is it cure? Do you really need to cure something that's not a problem? It's there, so it's a very dangerous minefield. Alhana takes a very like hell no, take away my autism and I will no longer be me yet, which is exactly what I'm saying. Like it's part of you, so it's this weird. It's I mean it's a lot like so many other things about, you know, who you are as a person, like not just things like for a long time being gay was considered a disorder. So if you take, you know, if you were to cure someone, and by the way, if you're listening to this and not watching it, I'm doing a whole lot of air quotes when I say these things. So if you do cure things like being gay, like how much of that person, like, is that really the same person when they're no longer, like, when you've taken something away from them that is part of who they are, like how much of that same person have, is it really the same person? So you know, existential questions about whether you should cure people of things and cure people, right? Yeah, I don't know necessarily the answer because I'm not on the spectrum, so I don't want to tell people like um how they should, you know, what answers they should go with. Alhana, who is on the spectrum, has stated like hell no, and that's entirely understandable. And again, if she doesn't want to, I don't think anyone should ever be forced to go through any kind of conversion therapy or to be cured in any way, shape, or form. That's not okay. Never force anyone to do that. Um, uh, which again also becomes kind of God. This is why it's such a minefield of a problem is when it comes to adults who can make those decisions. That's great that they can make those decisions. When it comes to people like what Gary here is probably going to promote, what a lot of people who have cures for autism promote, is things that are done to children at a young age, and at which point you have a whole lot of issues about consent, like um whether they're actually, you know, whether they're actually consenting to be cured, right? Whether they're actually consenting to these treatments, probably not, because they're children and barely even cured. There's a lot of issues with how much of it is like wanting I'm pretty sure you have your chat on top, probably top. A lot being said that I'm missing. um Oh, over there probably. Um, so there's a lot to be said about consent. How much do people understand when you say like getting? I hate having to use the word cure. I'm only using it because this guy is using it, but I don't think there's a cure for autism. There's nothing to cure. It's not a disease. It's not like whatchamacallit. It's not like the cold or anything. It's its own different way of thinking. Um, which, in my opinion, you don't need to cure a different. Um, in that sort of. Now that I've said that, I'm like, no. Sometimes you do need to cure a different way of thinking, but I mean that more like you need to cure bigots, which is very different, which is entirely a different conversation to be had. But not you don't need to rewire someone's brain so that they think like so that their brain works like everyone else or works more normal, which whatever the hell that means. Because even things like talking about what like how a normal brain should work, a bunch of weirdnesses all on its own. Because what is a normal brain? I don't. What is a normal way of thinking? Who knows? Nobody knows. People will make their own judgments about what they think is a normal way of thinking. There's really no objective answer to what a normal brain, what a there is kind of a medical way to do it, like a brain is does all that. Normally it's just most common is just the most common thing statistically. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it's not that's not a way of thinking. That's the way that's what you think. There we go. That's I'm okay with that distinction. It's not the way you're thinking. It's the way it's what you. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that when good Dr. Gary, not Gary over here talks um about curing autism, I'm pretty sure he talking about making people more normal. That's usually where it goes to when it comes to autism. A lot of the cures or a lot of the treatment are really to make things to make people normal. Again, whatever the um and not to actually help the individual, help just to force them to fit in. And yeah, it's a bit of a minefield to talk about this stuff, though. And if anyone wants to correct me about me saying things that I shouldn't be, or interpreting what it means to be autistic, please let me know. I'm an idiot on the internet who just happens to have a microphone and a camera. That's really it. I mean, there's a little bit more because I do education in the field, and I do work in autism spectrum disorders, so I know a little bit more. But that doesn't mean I understand the experience of somebody with autism. I work on it on the therapy side. Very different kind. When people say normal, they mean socially acceptable. Usually, yeah, usually that's what it means. The thing about normal is that you don't need that many metrics before nobody's normal. It's true. Like so many, like yeah, it's like so many other things that happen in science, biology, psychology, all those things. Um, it's trying to put things into boxes that don't exist in that can't really exist. Um, the only understand what it's like to be stupid. It's true. Lots of idiots with cameras these days. There are a lot of making cameras and microphones cheap was probably like the thing that's gonna make society take a downfall. There are way too many people like me who are just idiots with microphones. um, but yeah, so yeah, if when you talk about making things normal, you are trying to put things into boxes that don't fit into boxes, because so much of human existence doesn't fit into a neat little box. And this is true of like any time we talk about these kinds of things, it's always people who want to do that. So when you talk about things like gender roles, right? You have people who want to define what a woman and a man is in a very concrete, boxy kind of way, and force people to fit into these things, which is why you get like all these gender critical people who are really just transphobe. You get all these extremely sexist people who, again, they want to fit things into their neat little box without realizing that the world isn't a giant spectrum of things, so you can't fit even the most basic of things don't fit into neat boxes. Um, because that's not the way the world works. The world doesn't work in boxes. We like boxes, but the world doesn't actually care about it. There am so many different experiences on the spectrum. No one is exactly the same. The same with same with those on the spectrum. We just have traits that are more or less common in different degrees. Yep. Yeah, and I mean there is a definition for autism spectrum disorder and diagnosis. So you can in a lot of ways kind of like you have the following traits, you fall into spectrum disorder. What those traits look like is fucking it is a giant spectrum. I've been working with individuals on the spectrum for 6-7 years, and it's all over the place. Yeah, there's some commonalities you can find: sensitivity to noise, um, a difficulty with social, not difficulty, but the difficulty understanding social interactions, things like that. That are like, yeah, we can get them. Lack of eye contact. There's a few like things that you can point to. To what degree does that affect a person? Yeah, it's all over the place. I've had plenty of patients on the spectrum who are perfectly okay with eye contact, and plenty that just hate it. That's fine. Like it's all over the place. You can't just say like there's this. Excuse me. These are concretely what it looks like. It's entirely all. To be honest, psychological definitions tend to be up for review a lot. Yes, I don't think that's a psychology thing. I think a lot of other fields engage because they have to, because they're science, so they need to. Like they like all sciences need to constantly review their things, and yeah, it just happens. Like you're what it is. I don't think it's exclusively psychology. It goes from radio autism to micro autism to X-ray autism to gamma autism. I don't know if it's just me, but your mic seems to be dropping out now and again. Oh no! I know somebody said that earlier, that the sound was cutting out. So hopefully it won't. I'll get the mic closer to me and maybe I can turn up the gain just a little bit so that it's actually catching what I say rather than because sometimes I change the level of my voice constantly. So I don't know what's up with that. Not so. Yeah, it's probably because if I talk this way, I have to yell, and if I talk this way, I don't have to yell. And so I have to remember to look forward and talk at the same exact volume all the time, and I'm terrible at that. I did put a noise gate, so it's never gonna get too high. But finding that sweet spot of where I can talk at is an art that I fail at miserably most of the time. All right, so that's what we talked about. We talked about autism not having a cure, autism not necessarily being a disease that needs a cure. Yeah, so right off the bat, we are what, like 30 seconds into this video, and we have a lot of issues with Craig. So let's see what else we can talk about with Craig.
Well, I don't think so. I've seen lots of cases with EFT, both with and without unseen therapist, where the behaviors change. I'm not saying the autism was cured in these cases, but the behavior was changed. The fly off the handle type anger, not there. The irritation, the irritability, the inability to concentrate, much improved, much improved. Makes relationships around the house much better.
Okay, so this goes back to the sort of like the thing that was brought up earlier about spectrum. So yeah, you can change people's behavior. That's not all that difficult of a thing to do. Whether how much of it was caused by him, how much of it was caused by him is questionable, because acupressure, weird. It's not really backed up by evidence that it would do that. But there's also other ways to change behavior besides acupressure. So that's not, there's plenty of different kinds of therapies, depending on the individual, that they could go through to change their behavior if they wanted to. So it's not exclusive to you. It's also new studio, very nice. Is it a new? No, it's the same. I don't think I've changed much. Maybe, I don't know. I added more. That's added more toys, like the lame ass nerd that I am. Unless you haven't been here since I moved, which is like but yeah, so there are other kinds of therapies, kind of behavior therapy. God, there's so many therapies. I can't sit here and name all the therapies that would change someone's behavior. That doesn't, again, not necessarily mean that there's a cure. Poking therapy, I do like the poking therapy. What's the poking one called? There is one that's I know you mean something else, but there's one that's like the therapist really does it to piss off the patient. Acupressure. No, there's one that, like, not literal poking, but more like metaphorical poking. Where the therapist's job is to sit there and, like, be not aggressive, but be confrontational therapy. I think that's what it's called. Where the whole point is that you are confrontational with it, with the patient. It's less of the empathetic, let's listen. It's more like you are wrong, and let me tell you what. Again, therapies come in all shapes, sizes, and forms. It's not, there isn't one therapy, and there isn't one cure. One cure-all therapy, which is also part of the problem. When this guy talks about, like, his therapy working, usually when you have a therapy or a cure for for everything, there's a really good chance that that therapy is garbage, hot garbage, because there is no such thing as a cure-all for really anything. So many, especially in psychology, there's so many different kinds of therapy, so many different ways you can approach it, because people are individuals with all sorts of experiences, and they themselves are on a spectrum of sorts, where what might work well on patient X is not going to work well on patient Y, so you need multiple kinds of therapies to be able to tackle it. So there is no such thing as a cure-all. Can you, with therapy, you could get people to either learn, better coping mechanisms for things like anger, or being able to, there's so many ways to do it that I don't disagree that there are ways to get an individual, whether on the spectrum or not, to have their behaviors change, or even, their anger to, or management or whatever, to improve. I don't disagree with him that kind of thing can't, it can be done. I sincerely doubt acupressure did it. And also, he's doing the poking. It's also, wait, I can be a therapist by being a dick. There is a kind of therapy that's like that. I think it's confrontational therapy. I think that's what it is. I learned about it last semester. But now I don't remember. Now I remember. And in some cases, basically praying. Yeah. So you could we're armchair therapists at least. Well, armchair therapists at least. We're all armchair therapists. Look at me armchairing my therapy. So yeah, you could do it. To any individual. Again, not necessarily, it doesn't have to be on the spectrum. There's therapies to change behavior on people who aren't on the spectrum, and there's therapies that change people who are on the spectrum. They all exist. It's fine. They are backed by science though, so there's a big difference between that and what you're promoting. What you're promoting. So you can get there. I doubt it was you who did it. You're also kind of stereotype. You're what a lot of you're doing here is you're stereotyping autism, right? You're stereotyping autism as individuals with anger management problems, individuals with difficulties focusing on tasks. That's not. I mean, you can be a person with autism, a person on the spectrum, and have those be things that affect you. That is possible, but not everybody on the spectrum has the exact same problems. It's not universal. So and even things when people say difficult time focusing is a bit of a weird thing to say about, because a lot of individuals on the spectrum have a really easy time focusing on very specific tasks. It just sometimes happens to be that those tasks aren't the tasks that adults in their life want them to focus on. So you might have a kid who has a hard time sitting and listening to whatever, a lecture in class, but he will gladly sit and read all the books on trains or all the books on dinosaurs, and be able to sit and listen to a lecture on dinosaurs, or to, these kinds of things do happen where individuals on the spectrum are able to focus on things. It's just that it might not be what normal things that we should be focusing on, or the people around them want them to focus on, and that's a different problem than having a focusing problem. Those are two different issues. That really the issue is that we tend to, as a society, say, hey, if you can't focus in class, or you can't focus in this one particular type of setting, then you have a difficulty focusing, when it might not be it. It just might be that people have a difficult time focusing in this one kind of setting, or in this one kind of during this one kind of subject, which isn't even all that weird. That's true for a lot of us. How many of us didn't fall asleep through lecture classes about things that we didn't care about, and how many were at our edge of our seat and through classes that we did care about? It's I hate to use the term, but it's a perfectly normal thing to not be able to focus on certain things and be able to focus on other things. It's not that weird at all. I will gladly sit here and play, be able to tell you all about a focus and learn all about fucking characters in D&D and the character or enemy stats and whatnots, and I can tell you all sorts of things. And I will spend my free time focusing on that, and I will struggle to fucking tell you the same kind of things, even about the things that I do at work, because I care less about them. So, microblognism, that's not a problem. Focusing on dinosaurs, what everyone should work towards this. That isn't, yeah. Focusing on dinosaurs is definitely not a problem. I do like that was the thing that I saw about how the things that like the most unrealistic part about Jurassic Park was that people had like early warning signs about what a terrible idea Jurassic Park was, and yet they still opened the park because of monetary reasons, and how unrealistic that was. And then COVID-19 happened, and we were like, oh no, that's actually how what we would do. We would entirely know the best way to proceed while protecting the most amount of people, and we would entirely ignore it so that we could open up and make money. And that's very realistic. So yeah, the the most unrealistic part of Jurassic Park is rather on point. All right, let's listen to a little bit more of Greg here.
Better. I want to give you one of our primo examples on this. This has to do with EFT tapping, but the unseen therapist could have, I think, done this job even a little more proficiently, but we weren't aware of unseen therapists at the time. I was dealing with a mother.
Okay.
Mother's child not only had autism, but also had Down syndrome. And the boy's name was Mason, 8 years old. And there,
man, that's so much PHI right there, buddy. That's one of the ways you know someone's a quack. Is that they don't follow HIPAA rules. That is so much PHI. If you don't know, mother's child. If you don't know, like HIPAA is a thing in the States. It might be a thing in other countries, I think, because other people have mentioned that they have HIPAA. If it's a thing in the States, oh god, it stands for stuff. Health information something. So I don't know, something. I think it's got 2 A's in it. It's HIPAA, I think, if I remember right. I don't even know how to spell it, but either way, it's a bunch of rules on what kind of information you can share as a like health provider. And so there's a lot of rules and a lot of things that you're not allowed to share. Oh, we, for example, at work, we take it super seriously. Health Insurance Probability and Accountability Act. So there's a lot of things you can't share. Like as a medical professional, you can't share. So I will sometimes, if I talk about anecdotes about things that I do at work, I have to be very vague about them. So I'll often not say the gender of the individual, the age of the individual, definitely not the name of the individual. Those are things that I probably try to avoid, and when I do tell anecdotes, I try to keep those things out. Because you pretty much don't want to, whatever information that I say you shouldn't be able to have enough information to track down this individual. It's pretty much what it breaks down to. So if I give you enough information, knowing, because some of the information is kind of implicit, like if I say this is something that I did at work, you know what city and what state or that clinic is in, because I talk all the time about where I live. And so if that information, you can also figure out other information and eventually potentially find that that patient. And so we want to keep information separated enough that you cannot do that. And the fact that this idiot here just said somebody's name, just said somebody's age, and gave away their gender, tells you a whole lot about how little he knows about the rules that are involved in healthcare. And it's because he's not a healthcare provider. Because if he were a healthcare provider, he would know better. At least I would hope so, because some people still don't know better. But I would hope that he would know better. He still might not. But the fact that he's doing that just goes to show you how entirely ignorant he is about the field that he says he's an expert at with his acupuncture, whatever, acupressure stuff. We can find your patients and help them escape you. That's probably not a terrible idea. I do have a new patient starting soon. That'll be fun. I'm very excited. I haven't had a patient like this in a while. I'm very excited. I do have a new patient starting this next week, so that'll be good. It'll be good. Good times. I will probably have concussions. I shouldn't be so excited about having concussions, but it sounds like I will probably have concussions. God, too many of those. I was mentioning, speaking of concussions, I didn't mention this because I always think it's very important. Is the amount of garbage that I go through at work. I've been bitten, I've been punched, I've had concussions, I've had things sprained, I've been punched and kicked, and I've been peed on, I've had feces thrown at me, I've had full diapers ripped apart and chucked at me. I've had a lot of garbage happen because of my job. And I have never lost my cool at work and punched a kid, which tells you a whole lot about about how difficult it can be to work with a community that I work with. Not always, of course, but it can be difficult depending on the kiddo, and how much training and stuff you need to be able to sort of handle especially escalated situations, and how little the people who are actually in charge of protecting us, the police, how little training and how crappy they are at it. Because they typically don't do that. They are real bad about arresting people who have disabilities and have especially like I've seen these because I've seen this before. I've seen people with signs on like the back of their cars and license plates, and not license plates, like windows, that say like there is a child on the spectrum on board. They might not be able to follow directions. They might, if there's an accident, they might be freaking out. So be careful. So this is an actual concern, because when that happens, you do have potentially somebody who isn't trained in what to do, just making the situation far worse. So there's definitely big loads of concern with that. Was it like 4 or 5 years ago? I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago. There was a therapist who was out in the community with his client, and the client was throwing a tantrum. So people watching the tantrum called the police to show up, and the police ended up shooting the therapist. He lived. I think he got shot in his butt or something like that. And like that happens way too much, where you have people who are definitely not trained trying to control situations where far above their training level, and it just always escalates into violence of some sort. Tasers are used an unfortunate amount of times. It's true. Yeah, it's yeah, but it's easier to shoot them. It's way easier to shoot than to actually go through the training that you need to be able to de-escalate these situations. That is very true. That is very. All right, let's listen to a little bit more of this guy, Grandpa.
There were 3 behaviors that he had that were most annoying to Mother, and you'll see why. Okay, one of them was,
this is something that I have an issue with, and I take an issue because this does happen at the clinic every once in a while. Actually, it happens way more than before. It happens all the time. Where we have adults, parents, sometimes teachers whose main concerns about behaviors are that they're annoying. And it's fucking awful, because I've seen this way too much, and like it's unfortunate. Every once in a while we do have I've had parents definitely ask me to stop an annoying behavior, which to most of the time the answer is I don't care enough to stop it, so you're on your own on that one. Because just because it's annoying, it's not usually worth the time and effort it takes to change a behavior. You learn to deal with it. Annoying behaviors are not worth changing half the time, most of the time. There are definitely behaviors that are dangerous and life-threatening, or can impede access to like social things that people want to engage in. I have heard of that. I don't think I've had anybody with that, but I have heard of people say, I've had people say I engage in this behavior, which normal people find annoying, and it's making it difficult for me to find friends, to engage with them, things like that, right? And so in those cases, I could see it, but most of the time when I see that from individuals being like, "Hey, I want to learn how to socialize, how to make friends." In my one of my psychology classes last semester, I did have somebody that had two individuals in that class who were on the spectrum, who had been through. Well, they told us all about the different therapies that they've been through. They were very open about it, and they did say things like that, like, "Hey, I've been through this therapy to change some of my behaviors because I wanted to be able to socialize and have friends." That was their individual choice to do that. And they wanted to do it for themselves. And I think that's wonderful. If you want to change your behavior because you want to improve or you think it'll improve you in some way, I'm not going to oppose that. Like, I think that's great. I think that's fantastic. But I don't think you have to either. Like, there's plenty of annoying fucking people in the world who don't change their behaviors. Twitter is a great example of plenty of annoying ass people who don't change their behaviors, and can still somehow manage to be whatever liked, in some way. So you don't have to do it, but if you have a behavior that you're like, "Hey, people find this annoying, I want to change it." Thank you very much, Einstein Gonzalez. Are the things ready? Oh, look at that. We haven't had a donation in a while, so thank you very much, Einstein Gonzalez. That says something, and I would read it. I really genuinely would read it. But I might need to get it through Google Chat translate thing. So let's give that a try. That's looks Russian? I want to say that's Russian. But I don't know. I don't know if it is. I think the whole deal is that I do read the messages. So let's run in through Google Translate. Google Translate that for me. Long live communism! I love it! Long live communism! Long live communism. No, I'm Alex. Well, thank you, Alex, very much. Long live communism. I do thoroughly appreciate your $5 donations. Thank you very much. We don't have a goal currently for what we're doing with these donations. I used to have a goal. I don't anymore. I think we have yeah, I kind of we stopped with some of the goals a bit ago, but thank you very much. All right. I did see Alhana say something. Yeah, making friends is a huge issue for me, and though I can socialize okay with friends, a lot of sociality really drains me. Yeah. And so yeah, so it's for an individual to say, "I want to change my behavior because others finding annoying," is one thing. For you as a parent to say, "My kid's behavior is annoying and I want them to go through some weird ass therapy to change it," that's way sketchier. That's way sketchier. Learn to deal with your kids' annoying behaviors. My mom learned to deal with my stupid ass behaviors. You can do the same thing. Like, yeah, fucking, that's what parents do. They learn to deal with their stupid decisions and the stupid children that they popped out. My mom, I'm sure my mom has to deal with a bunch of nonsense all the time. I used to have a goal anymore, but I don't anymore. Next goal: plane tickets so R&D can visit his poor mom who he left behind. It's true. My mom. She did the thing. What is it called? She gave me a hard time about the whole leaving thing. So no, that actually happened this week. I take it back. She didn't give me a hard time. She gave my little sister a hard time because I left. So I probably should go visit her or call her more often. I think she's very hurt that I left. Oh god, I'm a terrible son. My poor mother has to deal with all this shit. She also watches this from time to time, so maybe she'll watch this and be like, the hell is my son talking about our family issues on the internet? Oh, and Platinum so he can visit his mom so he can complain about him to us. Oh goodness, yes. I am a terrible son. I moved away from home when I was like 18, then moved back in when I was 27 for like 2 years, and then moved back out, and then I haven't and my mom, I think, feels rather that I just left. She seems a little little upset about that. My mom isn't happy that I plan on leaving her to live with Micro. Yeah, parents are like that. They're like they're not. My mom was not happy that I moved to Nebraska. Which, granted, I wasn't very happy that I chose to live in Nebraska. So, but like my two sisters are still in home age. Like they live in the same city, so she gets to see deal with them all the time. But I'm like 2,000 miles away. You're at least staying in the same country for now. I one of these days I'm gonna move to a different country. I'm getting bored of Nebraska one of these days. A move's a coming. I'm getting bored. Okay, with all that aside, let's listen to a little bit more of this nonsense.
When he was hungry, he would stand outside of the refrigerator, and he didn't know how to speak English words and communicate in normal vocabulary. So he would stand outside and scream at the top of his lungs at the refrigerator, so that's to say he was hungry.
Okay, so that would be annoying. Also has a very, very simple solution, which is just functional communication training. Like, simple solution. No need for any of your nonsense. Like, the easiest shit in the world is to teach functional communication. Like, super, super duper easy. You could, like, you fucking give a PEX card. Oh, PEX has a thing. Picture something. It's PEC. Picture communication. Picture something in communication. I think. I don't know. See, this is why I suck in my job. I don't know the meanings of like half the abbreviations that I consistently. Moving to North Korea because I'm bored. Yeah. So yeah, no, just teach communication. Like that's not all that hard. Like it really legitimately is like, hey, hand me this card and I will open the refrigerator and feed you, child. Which would not require a PEX, or would not require not a PEX, would not require your silly ACU whatever is. It's a surprising amount. We do this a lot at the clinic that I work at. We do a lot of functional communication training. And it's both surprising and of course unsurprising because it very much so makes sense. But so much of the behaviors that I have to deal with are lower or decrease because you teach somebody communication. Like, excuse me, communication is such an important part of just interacting with the world around you. That when you can't do it and when nobody has bothered to teach you how to communicate properly. The other problem is that we kind of assume oh god. Okay, let's start there. Part of the problem is that we live in a society that we assume that people learn things just by like osmosis. So we see that a lot. It's one of the things that happen, especially with like socializing. So nobody teaches us how to be social, how to socialize, how to talk to other people. We're supposed to learn it by observing other people, by observing like I don't know, your peers do it, and then you're supposed to learn that way. But there aren't like socializing classes of how to be social and how nobody teaches you how you make new friends or how how you should follow a conversation or how you should follow how conversations work. Nobody teaches you that shit. Which for like 80% of us is fine. But there's definitely a percentage of people who those kinds of things aren't as obvious and need a little bit of extra help, which is fine. We all need a little bit of extra help with all the nonsense we have to deal with. But we don't have the we don't provide the resources for that. We don't provide anybody with like, here are the resources for how you can learn these things. And so what happens a lot of the times, and one of the things that I deal with at the clinic a whole lot, is that we get a lot of kiddos who don't know how to communicate, and that really is the big part, is that like all they really need is a way to ask or say, I'm hungry, I want water, I want my tablet, I want this, I feel sick, my head hurts, whatever, I want to be left alone. I want, all these ways that we assume people learn. Some people haven't learned them, and then that causes a whole lot of problems. So in that way, he's not entirely wrong. I'm sure that the way that he went about it is entirely But yeah, I like the kid just sounds like he just needed his folks to sit down and teach him a way to ask for food rather than screaming. Um, I don't think your acupressure did that. I'm pretty sure that the kid learned how to ask rather than whatever it is you said. I'm actually really I don't think you'll say it. I'm really curious to say if you actually talk about the treatment that you used. Out you. There we go. Just comatose them and automatically feed them through a tube. That is probably the easiest answer. Mm. Do we need to talk about work? What? R&D could be our child. I am way older than both of you. Like, you could be my child. Yes, I think you could. Maybe. I don't know. Potentially, you could be my child. It might be old enough that you could both be. Definitely Pasta. I'm pretty sure Pasta is young enough that she could be my daughter. I'm old enough. I'm very old. Pretty much what I'm saying is that I'm old. 26. You're just a little bit younger than my wife, so probably not. I don't actually know. That's a good question. I don't know how old my wife is. So somewhere in there. So probably not. I think in order for that to happen, I would have to be 8 years old when we were conceived. Yes, I was 8 when you were conceived or born. So no, you cannot be my child. I am super old. You're both young enough to be my child. There you go. Born. Yes. All right, we're gonna listen to a little bit more of this. I'm gonna reach into my fridge and get some more beer. It's really hot in this office because we turned off the air, and I'm probably gonna die. I should turn on the AC, but I want to have the I want to have the reason that I said stupid shit is because it was really hot in my room and I wasn't thinking straight excuse. So that's what I'm gonna go with.
That's the way he said, "Mommy, I'm hungry." Okay. Another one was mother's parents, that is Mason's grandparents, lived downstairs in the basement, and from Mason's point of view of the young boy, those grandparents belonged in the basement. That's where they belonged. And when they came upstairs into the living room, he got very upset because they weren't where they belonged. Everything's got to be in its place, and they weren't there. Get very upset, scream, tantrums, all kinds of things. That, of course, gets in the way of harmony in the house, if you will. The third thing was, while he had the ability to use the toilet on his own, he just didn't bother. So his mother had to put him in diapers and had to deal with all of that, daily.
Oh yeah. Oh goodness, how much are those annoying behaviors? Well, one, some of them actually don't seem to be a little bit more than annoying behaviors. The screaming one we've already talked about. The screaming to get food we've already talked about. Functional communication training. That's all you need. That'd be fine. The having people like be in a certain spot. That's again also. I mean, the classic parent basements, right? That's something that a lot of like even regular I say regular like that fucking means anything. The guy in the right corner is Hector Salamanca. That was in the left corner. That guy's Craig. Greg or Greg? Gary Craig? Gary Craig. I don't know who this other person is. So yeah, no, one of the things that used to happen when I was a teacher was that I'd have kids who were really weirded out that I didn't live at school, which was fantastic. So they'd see me out in the community and be like, "The hell, I thought you lived at school. Like, what are you doing outside of school?" Does that get in the way? I mean, if it gets in the way of social things, what like there are definitely solutions that the parents could do to, again, without having to do crazy ass weird acupressure nonsense. There are definitely things that you can do to help, like, with that understanding of like, no, grandma and grandpa can be up here, kind of deal. And it might be some of it might be even as things like, hey, you have to have I mean, it could be scared if the people normally chained up in the basement suddenly come out in the living room. I mean, it's true. some of the changes could just be as simple as like your family could make some of those changes about like not just you'd have to figure God, there's so much because you have to figure out why it's a problem. Like why the kid is having this bit of tantrum behavior. It could be that he doesn't like grandma and grandpa. It could be that he feels like his space is being invaded. And he might need to have like his own space that cannot be invaded. That's a big one that we forget about children is in the same way that a lot of us like I have my own space. Like, this is my space. It's mess. It's lovely. This is my messy place. I have my own space. I don't like my space being invaded. And children are, a lot of them also have their own space. They don't want to be they don't want it to be invaded. And they have less privacy. Kids don't have the same amount of privacy as adults do, right? Like parents just feel like it's okay to just walk into their kids' room, and do whatever, right? Like they don't give their kids space, which is something that becomes a problem. Like sometimes all you really need is to just be like, hey kid, your room is your room, or this room over here is for you to do what you wish into, and mom and dad aren't going to be upset about that. And it might be that this kid just sees the upper first floor or whatever as his space, and someone is invading his space. So like it's something that we forget about as adults, that kids are sometimes want the same things. Not always. Some kids are not like little adults, but sometimes they want the same shit we do. They want privacy. They want their own space. They want to be left alone. That was a big thing for me as growing as I was a little kid. Is my mom would get super mad at me for this. And I still to this day don't really understand why she gets so mad at me. But I would as growing up, I did a lot of reading. Reading was my thing, like my jam. Super read all the time. Probably why I have an English degree. But I would sit and read. Like I would grab a book and I would sit and read, and that's all I wanted to do all day was sit and read. And my mom would often interrupt me to have me like do things, and then I'd get upset because I'm fucking middle of whatever the climax of my book, and be like, I'm reading this thing. My mom would interrupt me, and then she'd get angry at me that I was upset. And it was one of those things that I still to this day don't understand. Like I am, like you as an adult would be very mad if in the middle of your movie or whatever I stopped you and interrupted you. So why don't I get the same kind of treatment where it's like, hey, person is engaging in something they want to do. Maybe I shouldn't be an ass and interrupt. And we often forget that as adults, we often forget that like kids also want to engage in this kind of the same kind of things that we do as adults, and they want to be left alone. They want to engage in their hobbies without being annoyed. Some of the things that happens a lot, I see this a lot with people on the spectrum, is that they people on the spectrum often like to engage in either repetitive it's called stimming, but not just repetitive, but they seem to like they get engaged in their one thing, and then they get real upset when you interrupt that one thing they're engaging in. And I see a lot of people want to be like, well, I want to stop them from engaging in this behavior because they get upset when I interrupt the behavior. And that's not the right solution to the problem. The right solution to the problem is don't interrupt this person while they're engaging in something they enjoy. That's the right solution, is you can change your own behavior and not be an asshole, rather than be like, I don't want this person to, like, I've had parents tell me like, hey, my kid likes to watch Elmo way too much, like all the time watches Elmo, and I'm getting tired of listening to Elmo. So I want you to change their behavior so they don't watch Elmo anymore. Of course, my answer is like, why? I don't care if they watch Elmo or not. Don't listen. Like, get headphones. Like they're engaging in the thing that they want to do. Like, why would you change that? Like, it's what they like. There's no reason for you to be like, I want to change that. Yeah, don't don't interrupt the behaviors. Yeah, just don't interrupt. Also, who hates Tucker Carlson, Ben Shapiro? They hate Elmo. But like, yeah, like just don't interrupt it. And so a lot of this might be that kind of stuff. And I understand that that's a little different with social stuff, like your grandparents wanting to come up, but like it's understanding that these are also like people on the spectrum are also individuals who want to have things, their way as well, and you don't get to be the deciding person to say, no, it has to be my way. Like they get to make those kinds of decisions themselves. So that, yeah, that's a very long ranty, but yeah, don't interrupt people's behaviors. It's fine, like unless they're dangerous, which case we can have an argument about whether it should be interrupted or not. Because some behaviors are dangerous, and need to be interrupted, but that's for the most part they're not. They're just they might be annoying to you, but they're not. There's no reason to necessarily interrupt them. So the reptoids go deep down, don't they? They do. Reptoids, all the reptoids. All right.
Well, okay. Mother and I got together and we did this.
Oh God, you really? God, the PHI. Too much PHI.
Surrogately. Mason wasn't even around. We were doing it surrogately, in Mason's behalf. And we were imagining, what would it be like to be Mason and be so different from everybody else? What kind of anger would we have? What kind of frustration would we have? And then Mother, of course...
I mean, okay. Lots of reaction here all these days because he kind of said Black Lives Matter. I know. Okay. So they're not talking to the kid. They're making a whole lot of assumptions about like why he's angry, which is weird. He might be frustrated. I'm not sure. Anger. God, anger seems to be such a word that's used a lot. Why are they acting out therapy? Because it's the invisible, whatever, unseen therapist. Yep, it has to be unseen. Erection is hated Mr. Roger because they hate empathy. Yeah, that's also true. Did he just tell the kids? Oh yeah, no. You might have missed it, but he totally told the kid's name like way earlier and his age. Like the amount of PHI that I've gotten out of doctor, not a doctor. I don't know why I keep calling him a doctor, but Mr. Gary here is ridiculous. It's a little much. It's a little much. He's definitely definitely in the ew part. Okay, listen.
Of course, knows about specific events that Mason may have gone through, which were very upsetting to him, and so on. So at the time we were doing tapping, could have used unseen therapist, and we were aiming at all these emotional issues. Well,
I do. I hate how often because this isn't just something that happens with autism. This happens with like pretty much all mental stuff. Mental disorders is it always, people always want to take it back to some sort of one, like emotional trauma, and two, he doesn't have a license of any sort. That's the problem. He's a quack. He doesn't have a license. Otherwise, yeah, I would. They always want to take it back to like this, like it's emotional trauma, and this happened again, not just with autism. This happens. This happens with when you talk to people about being trans or about being gay. You had the same kind of thing. Like you're gay because you were sexually abused was such a big talking point with homophobes for a very long time, right? Same now it's a talking point for trans individuals that you are trans because you were emotionally abused as a kid or the whatever, and it tries so hard to put it to like take away people's like agency on these kinds of things, right? Like it's not it's about your environment, like your, how to put it, you are wrong about the way that you think and or feel because you went through these traumatic things, which is entirely makes no sense. There's no evidence for any of this. There's no evidence. I doubt there's not that I can think of that there's any reason why emotional trauma and whatnot like it would cause this kid to act this way. there's probably behavior reasons why, and you could sit around and come up with the antecedent for why he's doing it, and then and the consequence and all that. I'm sure you could do that. I'm sure that it's a learned behavior, but there's no reason to say that he's only doing it because he's angry or because he's been through some emotional turmoil or whatnots. It's it's such a common quackery slash, God, it happens way too much with mental health. It, even with the, like, you just depression isn't a chemical imbalance in your brain, you're just sad, kind of thing. Like, it's the same mentality of trying to fix people by not actually addressing the real problem, been making it like a fault of the person's, like, character rather than a fault of the person's, like, it's rather than biological, psychological reasons why they might be that way. They aren't patients, they are clients. Yeah, that's probably probably right. So I'm sure that he's following the law, which is sucks. But it also goes to show you that what he's doing isn't medical practice of any way, shape, or form. Like, if it were, he would be breaking the rules, and he should know better if he were. Potentially, I mean, it is possible. I'm highly skeptical of it. Potentially, if he were a medical professional, he could have gotten consent from caregivers to share all of this stuff. I'm gonna lean towards more of the fact that he's not a medical professional, so he doesn't actually know all the rules around sharing information regarding people's names and treatment and things like that. So that's probably more likely to be the reason, rather than he actually got consent. People who like coffee were clearly kept awake by their parents as kids. Yeah, that's a good one. I haven't heard that one. I like that one. It's very Freudian, very, very Freudian. Which, yeah, Freud also had his weirdnesses like that. Like, a lot of the way that he formed these kinds of his kind of opinions about why people did things was very much in the the you engage in this kind of behavior, or you because of past trauma in this certain way. He's also very specific about the kinds of trauma. It's a very weird science. But even if he got consent, wouldn't you keep out names? It's I would hope so. Like I said, I would personally never do anything like this. I would never share anyone's names. I would never share their age. I would never share their diagnosis. I would never share a picture of the caregiver on the internet, which I'm now sharing even more. So we are spreading all sorts of things. These are all things that I would never do as somebody who works in mental health. So, because I know better, the fact that he doesn't know better really does show you that he probably doesn't work in mental health, because he doesn't know any better. Okie dokie, artichoke. Here we go.
We had no way of testing at the moment. He wasn't there.
You still don't.
And so I instructed, Mother how to continue doing this. And she did that for the next couple of weeks. And I talked to her again on Skype. This is how we did it in the first time. And after 2 weeks, she tells me of the 3 behaviors. Now, when he wants to eat, he stands outside the refrigerator and he points, but it's in a very calm voice, like this. Great, big difference. Now, when the parent...
It's like saying that I like BDSM because I was abused as a kid. Oh, do people say that? I didn't know people said that. Oh, that's awful. I didn't realize people said that. That's real bad. I'm sorry. Oh. All the things, this is, people will find just about any excuse to not let you, for being, like, you can't just, I even hate using the word different, but, it's English language and whatnot. You can't just be different without having gone through some sort of trauma. Like that's it's such a common stereotype about people that you can't be anywhere near different, right? Like I remember you get the same thing about like, even being slightly different in high school. And if you my mom, I because God, my mom's been the topic of conversation for so long today. As a high schooler who went through high school in the early 2000s, I went through my good old fashioned goth phase because of course I did, right? And my mom immediately jumped to like, what kind of Satanist ass shit have you been exposed to think this way, rather than it being like, no, this is what all the cool kids do. It's not what the cool kids do though, but still. I get it. Like people are way willing far too quickly to jump into finding ways to blame outside sources for you being different than what they expect. I hate that 50 Shades exist. An entirely sexual identity defined by Twilight / fiction. Yeah. 50 Shades of Grey is really bad. Oh yeah, my grandma once said she wanted to drown me in holy water. Oof, that's intense. Yeah. Yeah, my mom takes issue with the whole atheist thing and the whole doing whatever the fuck I want. She so I talk about this because even now I'm like, what, 34? I think I'm 34. I'm 34 now. So I'm a grown ass adult who does adult like things, who has a job and a career and goes to school and has successfully married and all. I have like the, besides the children thing, I am very much so in the stereotypical I am an adult phase of life, where married, lives away from parents, jobs, all the shenanigans, owns a car, whatever, right? Like I have all the things, pay my bills, not on my parents' phone plan anymore. Like I'm an adult now. And so when I went to visit my family back in Christmas, I got my ear pierced. I have cartilage piercing up there. I got my ear pierced. And the moment my mom saw me, well, fuck, I'm 34. My mom like came up to me and says, "Take it out. I don't like it." Just like, I don't, no, like, I'm a fucking adult. Mom, I love you, but I'm an adult. I get to make these decisions now. At 34, I'm pretty sure that I get to make this decision. I like, I paid my way through college through multiple jobs. Like, I have been doing adult things, but they're still like, okay, mom, you. Somehow my mom still thinks that she gets to make these decisions for me. She doesn't. You are a man-child with an alcohol problem. I will definitely take the alcohol problem thing. I probably do have one of them. The problem is I don't have enough of it. I don't about even BDSM either, but I know not to be a dick about things I know fuck all about. That's true. So that is one of the things that I've been trying to learn. There's a lot of things out there, or plenty of things out there that I don't understand, that I think are weird, and I will probably never understand. There's plenty of things that fall into that category of things that I don't know or understand enough about, and that I think are weird. But just because I don't understand them and I think they're weird doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them. It's the one thing that I need that I have been trying to drill into myself, that just because I don't understand them, just because I might not even enjoy participating in the same kind of activity, doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with those activities. It means that I need to either learn more about it, which I try. I need to learn more about it. I need to educate myself on the topic if I want to know about it. If I don't want to know anything more about it, I'm like, you know what? I know enough about BDSM. I know enough about it to be comfortable with it. That's fine. I still shouldn't fucking judge anyone else for it. Because I have not bothered to, like, it's not my fucking business to be bothering anyone else about it. And there's so much of this, and I have learned over the last couple of years how incredibly ignorant I am about, especially when it comes to sex things and um gender identity and sex are the two things that I have in the last couple of years learned how incredibly ignorant I am about them. Just I know very I'll still say that I know very little about it. But I need to, if I want to learn more about it, I need to do it. And if I don't want to learn more about it, I don't have a right to be anyone else about it. I just don't. Vanilla as fuck. Yeah, who knows? Probably not. Probably not as vanilla as you all think I am. When that was one of the things that I got drunk with my coworkers, like back when I could still see my coworkers outside of work. I got drunk with my coworkers, and that was one of the things that people asked, like, "Hey, how'd you meet your wife?" And that's a long story. And it was very much like, "Oh, you are very odd." It's like, yes, I know. Like, I don't know why you all expected me to be vanilla. I am not as vanilla as I need to get better lighting, because this lighting makes me look way paler than I really am. I am not that vanilla. that I don't know how. I don't know if I'm like, I'm not that, like, I'm not sure I'm like Rainbow Sherbet or anything, but I'm definitely not vanilla. Like Rocky Road, probably closer to like Rocky Road. Yeah. So as some more Raspberry Ripple, maybe more Raspberry Ripple. Oh. Okay. Does the lighting equal white face? Does this light? I don't know. I feel like it does. Like, I don't like. I can wait. I went out last week and I got a tan, but look at how pale this makes me look. I look very pale. I gotta sit down and like maybe work on the camera settings, because I look super pale, even though I'm very brown. IRL, I am very brown. R&D is in a tentacle hentai confirmed. I will neither confirm nor deny that, and I will drink my beer and keep listening to shit. There's this one channel. God, what is your name? Entirely on tangents. I'm so tired of listening to this guy. There's this one channel, if you're into that things, which the fact that I know who this channel is, that I've been watching, which I think is really cool. What is your name? I'm gonna look it up because I was just watching like his video like a bit ago. Where are you at? He does figure reviews. Where are you at, my friend? Oh, maybe I'm not gonna be able to find it. Where'd you go? Nope. Oh no, I'm not gonna be able to. Oh, here he is. Anime please 123. If you're into that kind of shit, he's got some really good figurine reviews of some rather interesting figurines. Most unfortunate because of YouTube, he can't really show. That might be if you're into that kind of stuff, that he's got a pretty cool channel that does figurine reviews. RD thinks tentacle hentai is vanilla. I don't want to think about where blood or bloody play comes from. I don't either. All right, here we go. A little bit more, and then I think we might have one more little short listen to, and maybe done with it. Which we're almost done with the video. I'm real tempted to just finish the video because we never finished them. We're really close.
Parents come from upstairs, and they come into the living room. Mason doesn't even notice. Plays with his toys, might say hello to the grandparents, hug them or something, whatever. But it's not the big deal that it was. And from a potty trained point of view, he still wears his diapers, but he uses the toilet about 80% of the time.
So I wonder, I'm really curious, how much of this is not like other therapies or other programs being put in place. Like, so I get the feeling that because I wouldn't be entirely surprised that not a doctor, get out of my head. It's after talking about Dr. Andrew Kaufman last time. I think that's his name. It's all in here now. How much is of what Gary is saying didn't coincide with other therapies or other protocols being put in place? So how much of it was just like, hey, we like it just coincidentally matched up. So yeah, maybe these particular behaviors improved or whatever. But they happen not because of what Gary did, but they happen because of other things that the parents started implementing. So maybe they did start implementing some sort of functional communication, which helped Brandon, or whatever the hell the kid's name is, helped them get around. Like how much of it is coincidental, which I wouldn't be surprised if some of it was coincidental. We lowered his proficiency so he can't see them leave. What? We never finish. Oh, it's orgasm denial. Oh yeah, no, all of these things. All of my videos are edging. That's what we do here. We edge a whole lot at longer and harder. No, now as I sit here, I'm like, why do you all think I'm vanilla? My show is called Longer and Harder, like, which I guess maybe is that vanilla? Is Longer and Harder like way vanilla, and I don't even realize it. I need to up my edge game. Now I'm like, oh no, people think I'm vanilla. Speaking of people thinking I'm vanilla, not me. We've been one of the things we did a bit ago is we were talking about D&D at work, and we came up with trying to find the alignments for my coworkers, and one of the girls in my office, we decided that she was lawful good. And we told her that she's lawful good, and she got super upset about it. She was like, "No, I'm not lawful good," and then continued to be lawful good all the time. And so yeah, so she continued to be lawful good. I feel like I'm in her place now. Now that I've been called vanilla, I'm like, that can't be right. I don't know. Maybe I am vanilla. Maybe I am super vanilla. I also don't want to tell you the stories about why I don't think I'm super vanilla. I don't think I'm super vanilla, but I don't want to say. I don't want to say why I'm not super vanilla. Vanilla isn't an insult. Oh goodness! I guess I have to get a definition of vanilla. Is like vanilla just like missionary style? Like, is that vanilla? Like, is that what we're like? That's it. Like, that's all you do. Or like who is it who do it that way? Catholics used to do it that way, where they had like the not just missionary, but they had like the sheet between them, and then like a hole, like an embroidered hole for the bits to fit through. And that's how they used to do it, like back in the day, like 30 years ago, no, like 100 years ago. Catholic glory holes. Yeah, no, they that I think that was Catholics. I don't know if it was Catholics everywhere or if it was just a Mexican thing. But I remember hearing about it in Mexico. That was a thing, that you had you had a sheet and you had a hole in it, and you had to put the sheet between the two peoples. And then you got the deed done. You got it done quickly, and then you moved on with life. Yeah. So vanilla. I am insulted by being called vanilla, I gotta say. Yeah, so I'm not sure. I'd have to. Sounds more like Protestants are Reformed to me. Maybe I'm terrible at history, so for all I know, I'm butchering history. I'm trying to listen to Why of Farmers Market, and pretty freaking hard, and pretty freaking hard to do. I'm sure it is. Are you my sibling? I think that might be my sibling. When that person says that, I think she might be my sibling, and now has to listen to her older brother talk about sex. Welcome to the stream. I think that's my sibling. This is why I don't talk about kinky shit on this show. See? She is so my sister. This is exactly. And then she'll do worse and like show my mom the stream and be like, look at what your son is talking about. And then my mom has to deal with the fact that her son goes on the internet and talks about sex to random strangers, and this has nothing to do with sex, but I have also been talking about mom for like the last 2 hours, so Real question, is R&D the most vanilla in the family? I can't be. I'm definitely not. I'm definitely telling her. I have been complaining about Bob a lot today. I was talking. So since this is my sister. I was talking about the conversation we had a little bit, not in too much detail, but about how Mom is mad at me for leaving. Because she's so super mad that I am leaving. We're gonna listen to a little bit more of this while my sibling decides if I am the most vanilla member of our family.
That's a big relief, okay? So that gives you a sense of what can be done for not only autism, which typically many times will need to be done surrogately simply because the autistic person doesn't always have the, what would you call it, the patience.
I'm really okay. Wait. Are you? I think. Besides the fact that this person just did their nothing wrong with telehealth. I'm not gonna diss on telehealth. Telehealth is fine, but this isn't even telehealth. Like this isn't even that. This isn't even telehealth. This is like one step removed from telehealth. Like you did telehealth with the parent, but that was it. And then the kid got better. So you didn't even work with the kid through the phone, or even work with the parent to work with the kid through the phone or Skype or whatever the fuck we're into. So I mean, just I would really love to see your data on this, which I'm sure you don't have any of. I would really love to see your data on how this worked out. That would be fantastic. Again, as somebody who works in therapy and spends months, just months trying to lower a single behavior, or months trying to teach functional communication, I am flabbergasted that you were able to do it in 2 weeks of not actually doing any treatment. Like I'm just like I do this for a living, buddy, and it's not something that I can ever say that I do like overnight. That I can teach like functional communication training overnight. Like it takes hours and hours of work for like weeks before we can ever get to that point. It's a little weird. Oh goodness. Kink doesn't necessarily mean sex. Oh, I did not know that. Is that true? Huh. Things that R&D learned this week is that kink does not necessarily mean sex. That's interesting. That is, I have to process that. I did not know that. Feel like there has to be a site that gives you out either ice cream flavors for kinks. I might. The most fucked up kink, hand holding. It is really gross. We're gonna kink shame hand holding here. There's not enough ice cream flavors. Probably not. Ace and kinky. I know. Wherefore what I speak of. Okay. That's I did not know that. That is very, very interesting. I'm gonna have to I have to process that. I genuinely have to process that. I don't know what to say about that. That's an interesting concept that I had never occurred to me before, is that kink has nothing to do, it does not necessarily have something to do with sex. Okay, cool. Okay. Yeah, I know you can hear that. Sorry, I'm like pausing because I have to think about this. This is interesting. Mind blown. I need one of those mind blown gifs. Okay. Let's listen to a little bit more. Ooh, we are real close to finishing, and I kind of determined
to sit through an EFT session, so we do it surrogately. But anyway, that's kind of an exaggerated example. Can it help with
exaggerated example? That's really all we needed to know. So thank you very much.
Autism, of course. Can it cure it? Well, possibly. We must also look at the idea, however, that with autism and some of these issues, it could well be that the person has chosen this because.
Oh no! no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! People chose autism. That is a take I didn't expect. I didn't. Oh no! This is just as bad as the depression is just you being sad. Oh, get over it. Oh no, just get over your autism. Oh no. Just get over your autism. Should not be a thing that people say. Oh, oh my god. I am. Autism is a personal choice. Is quite the take to make. It really, yeah. Stop being autistic, dumb. Sorry, I laugh at that because I have a sign that says that. Not that. That says stop being sad, dumbass. Oh goodness. That is a take. That is a take that I did not expect. Oh goodness. By that, okay. I genuinely don't even know what to say to that besides like that is a really stupid thing to say. To say that choosing to be like that you can choose to be autistic. It makes no more sense than choosing to be depressed, choosing to have an eating disorder, or choosing to really anything that the psychological, like it makes no sense. But I also understand that people do actually believe that you choose to be depressed, that you choose to have an eating disorder, and apparently that you choose to be on the spectrum. I was surprised. I didn't expect it, but considering how pretty much every other mental diagnosis has people like you who think that that it's all a choice. It's not. I should have been less surprised. I'm still surprised, but should have been less. That is fucked up take on the 9th degree. I am, yeah, no, it is a take. That is a spicy take. That is a 10-star at your nearest Thai restaurant take. Oofta. Something I wouldn't necessarily do. Oh no, you sent me something and I don't want to. Could I don't want to open this. Micro sent me something which I don't want to open. Okay, we're gonna listen to a little bit more because we're so close. We're so close.
There are lessons to learn. We don't know that for sure, so we just do what we can do, and we keep at it. But is a cure for autism possible with the unseen therapist? Well, that remains to be seen because we're brand new at this. But I suspect if there is one, unseen therapists will be doing it.
Okay, made it through that. Made it through that. Okay. That was a thing. Okay, Hey, we're just gonna stop. We're just gonna stop there. It's a peer-reviewed paper to help you understand ace kink thing. Oh, okay, cool beans. Thank you very much. Oh, well, we finished. Good job, us. I feel I am. Okay, bright side of today. We talked about sex. That was fun. We complained about my mom. That was fun. My sister showed up. I'm sorry. Do we get boobies now? We got boobies already, but we can get more boobies. Because we did finish, and we typically do get boobies if we actually manage to finish. So we will get boobies. We finished the video, so that's a plus. I have learned new things about kinks, so that's a thing. Yeah, that's like the video summed up. So good job, team. We do get boobies because we finished. So let's see. I don't with this one. There we go. Good job, team. We made it all the way. I don't choose to not get social cues. I don't choose to be confused by others' more subtle displays of emotions. I do not choose to be drained from social interactions. Fuck right off with that. Yeah, the whole. Again, I was surprised that he said it, but I am also I shouldn't have been surprised. It makes perfect sense that he would say that because that is the same kind of thinking that we deal with a lot in psychology. A lot of the pushback that I see that I get for for psychology is the fact that I get is that it's all supposed to be like we get the it's a choice thing a lot. Not just for things like autism, but apparently for things like autism, that was a new one. But I've gotten it before for things like eating disorders, depression, mood disorders, even things like I've even heard it for things like dissociation disorders. I don't think it's not called multiple personality disorder. It's called something else now. I don't remember the name of it. But even things like that, I've gotten people to say it's just a choice thing. So it shouldn't have surprised me, but it still surprised the shit out of me that somebody decided that autism is a choice is quite it's quite the take that autism is a choice. Yeah. Dissociated identity disorder. Thank you. DID. Thank you. I know there was a thing. I know that they changed the name. I'm an idiot who studies psychology but doesn't know shit about it. I can't wait till I have a master's in psychology and I still don't know shit about it, because that's how I feel like every day as is. All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for being here. I do truly, truly appreciate you all showing up for this show. I'm glad that we actually got to do a show. Again, I apologize for not being able to do one last week. My computer is fixed. Obviously, we're here. We're doing things. Whatnots. If you would like to join me for some D&D fun on Friday, July the 3rd at noon Central, I will be running a D&D campaign called something. What's it called? The name here. In the Dark, in the Heart of the Forest, by, hey look, I can actually say it, by Beth Ball. By Beth Ball. I'll be running that with some fun players, including Microbloganism, Awkward Pasta, Alhana, otherwise known as Trans Gamer Girl, Christy Winters, Jelly Wilkson, and a IRL friend of mine. So if you'd like to watch that nonsense, come join me on July 3rd. As we walk more through some really foggy forests, and I try to murder my players. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here. I do appreciate it. Have yourselves a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you all next time.